Beautiful. Thank you and welcome. Saturday's session is more of contemplation and reflection. Those who are seekers at the higher level, they have purified their mind and they are continuing the journey of self-discovery. Then it is worth. Then it is worth attending. Saturday's session is all about contemplation and reflection and awareness. Last week we were talking about if experience is superior to reasoning or reasoning alone can help me, that results into an experience. So our master says reasoning is only for a clarity of knowledge, clarity of understanding. When I have clarity of understanding, and then I go to my experience and check it. Life is beautiful. You may say, no, I don't understand. Simple example. I see the mirage water. What is seeing? Seeing is my experience. Yeah? Seeing is my experience. Now, if I don't put the reasoning and logic, what will happen? That mirage water is my experience without incomplete knowledge. Without incomplete knowledge. So then what will happen? I will say, no, I have experiences. This is the reality. I experience the mirage water. It is a reality because it is not subjected to the reasoning, understanding. So my mirage water is my experience. So the blue sky is my experience. So is the case. I hate you and you hate me. This is my experience. So I did not subject it to the reasoning, understanding. See, pay attention to it. We are understanding if experience is superior or logic is superior. Definitely, my experience is superior. If it is subjected to the reasoning for clarity, then over my experience is superior. Otherwise, you say, take an example. I'm taking you to a deeper level. But before that, be very clear. Experience definitely is superior provided it is filtered by all the discrepancies. That is what the science also does. And that is what we are going to do. Today we have been doing it. No further. I experience your presence. See that? I experience you all. You all experience me. Is it a fact? I never reason it. What is this experience? And that is why I see there is a multiplicity in the world. There is a multiplicity in the world. Now I have taken from the mirage water to a current experience. I experience you all and you experience me. Is this experience real of multiplicity? Or I only experience the consciousness? That is the subject matter. I only experience the consciousness, or I experience you all, or you experience me. Me plus every. Like mirage water. I just I gave a comparison. So whether I experience you all or you experience me or we all experience only one consciousness. Our master says we only experience consciousness. But how to bring the clarity? We have to put the reason to, that will result into there is only one consciousness. That is what the real self is. I'm making it simple. So that is why we say we have a self-inquiry. Self-inquiry means self-knowledge. Realizing the real self of the nature of peace, happiness, love, wisdom, that brings an end to the suffering. That is known as nirvana. That is known as awakening. Nothing less, nothing more. So you may ask why self-inquiry is required. Self-inquiry is required. That is where we have to put the reason. Self-inquiry aims at self-knowledge and realizing the real self beyond ego and the false identity. That ego is the false identity is the mirage water. Upon analysis and understanding, I see that there is no Virat water, but I continue to experience it. So I will continue to experience you all and you will also experience me. But internally, I know I am only one consciousness. How to know that? How to apply the reasoning so that we can understand where I had the incomplete knowledge, and once I understand, oh, here is the incomplete knowledge. And then I drop it. But this can only happen if we have a purified mind. We all have a purified mind. So we are moving further. But if I don't do the self-inquiry, then I told you before that I will continue to have an incomplete, false experience of mirage water which does not exist. I have a false experience of the mirage water, it continues to exist. The same way, if someone, third person says, oh, that guy hates you, then I keep that false assumption. But if I can find out as such there is no hatred, then what happens? Your mind says, okay, thank you for hating me. I'm giving you real life examples, and then we will go directly. We are already moving. So if we do not do the self-inquiry, what happens? I live with the unconscious biases, patterns, assumptions, habits in the truth. I don't see the truth. I don't see the truth. So what happens? I live with those unconscious biases, patterns, assumptions. Where we are living? They are living in my mind in the form of thoughts and feeling and emotions. And then we continue to live our life day by day. And then only one thing is possible. Then I'm suffering all the time. Suffering all the time. Oh, he said this or she said this. He said or this said. He or she. What happens by the inquiry? I develop a self awareness. I understand myself better. When I reflect on the thought, feelings, values, and experience, I gain greater clarity. What is about greater clarity? Who am I? Our focus is there. Who am I? What matters most to me? I am. And then once I know who I am, I can easily relate to anything, anywhere, in any condition, without getting upset. So the self inquiry helps me, enhances my ability to make wise choices. that align with my true needs and the values. And ultimately, it helps me to evolve into a higher consciousness. I reach to the final. Now I'm still focused on the same. Who am I? And also, who am I with reference to whether the experience is superior if it is not examined in the light of reasoning, or experience is false, we have to inquire that. And that is the verse talks about. I will talk about the verse later. Let us have an example. By metaphor, by examples, we can understand. I see you. I experience all of you. What it means? It means you are an object of knowledge. I need your attention. You are an object of knowledge. I see the computer. Computer is an object of knowledge. Huh? You see me, I am an object of knowledge for you. So I have a knowledge of paper, I have a knowledge of computer, I have a knowledge of you all who are listening to me, I have a knowledge of my body. Now tell me, are knowledge of all the same or different? Just say in your mind. From the outer level, it appears they are different. Obviously, knowledge of David is different from knowledge of Jerry, to different from knowledge of Stephen, from knowledge of computer to the knowledge of room and knowledge of the light. It appears. So I'm adding the word it appears. The knowledge of you all, computer, etc., are different. I'm adding specifically, they appear different. For us, for a non-seeker, they are different. For a seeker, they appear different. Why? Because I have to do the self-inquiry. I have never done it. I have never done it. I simply took it for granted. So seeker never takes any experience for granted. It says, no, I have to examine it. I will examine, then I will find out. Now, why you are wasting your time. I know you have a beard and I don't have it, so we are different. That is the argument by a non-seeker. But we are a seeker. So we have been taking for granted you are different from me, I am different from you. So I have our knowledge of all the same or different. I say they are different. Knowledge of an object is different. Is this right or wrong? Now I raise a question. Is this right or wrong? We're going slowly. What do you say? Is it right or wrong? I have been saying that it has been right. What is wrong? Knowledge of an object. Now ask yourself where the knowledge is taking place. It takes place in me. Yes. Knowledge of the home takes place in me. Knowledge of David takes place in me. Knowledge of Stephen takes place in me. Knowledge of the computer takes place in me. Any knowledge of an object taking place in me. Am I clear? Knowledge of an object always takes place in me. I need your attention. Whether it is the knowledge of the home, a person, an object, any situation, an event, including the mirror's water I gave an example. Clear? Now take an example. Knowledge of this home taking place in me. Is the home inert or conscious? if the home is inert, how the inert home can be conscious so that we can say the knowledge of home. I'm repeating again. It's a little deeper, but not very deep. Home is inert. I say I have a knowledge of home. Mirage water. I have a knowledge of mirage water. So mirage water is inert. If the mirage water is conscious, then I can say it's a knowledge of the mirage water. You cannot bypass the argument by this master. Home knowledge, tea knowledge, computer knowledge, wake up knowledge, food knowledge. So what is happening? One knowledge dies and another knowledge takes place. How knowledge? Knowledge of Dennis knowledge. Now Stephen knowledge. So that knowledge dissolved, Stephen knowledge, Randy knowledge, computer knowledge. You see, you are aware. You are aware. You are looking at it. So, oh, yeah, I could see that. I could feel that. Knowledge of whom, for example, means knowledge of some object. Means what? Knowledge is dependent on the home. Is it possible? Knowledge cannot be dependent on home. Knowledge is taking place in me. Knowledge of, for example, knowledge of David. If I have a knowledge of the David, it is dependent on me, not on the David, not on the Jerry, not on computer. Why? I'm conscious of home. That is why I know I'm conscious of mirage water. Are you clear? Say yes, So I'm conscious of home. That consciousness, which is me, has become the property of home. And that is ignorance. That is incomplete knowledge. What I said? I am conscious of home. Means I know home. Home does not know me. I am conscious of home. That consciousness, which is me, has become the property of home, and that consciousness is the knowledge that becomes the property of the home, which is not possible. Consciousness cannot be property of any object. So we, with a wrong, false impression, with the incomplete understanding, I say knowledge of home, knowledge of Dennis, knowledge of Stephen, knowledge of computer. So what should I say? Now I have understood this part, but I experienced it. So our experience is wrong, like the mirage water. Why it is wrong? Because knowledge of home is happening in the consciousness. Knowledge of the home is not happening in the home. In the consciousness here, there is a home and there is a knowledge of home. I'll make it very simple, but this is what I have to say it. So in the consciousness, there is a home, there is a knowledge of the home, same consciousness appearing through the home, through the knowledge of the so-called David, computer, any object. It is actually the home of knowledge. It is actually the Stephen of knowledge. It is actually the David of knowledge. It is not the knowledge of David home in the steep. Contemplate and reflect on it. It is one consciousness appearing as object and object of knowledge. What I said? I'm repeating again. It is one consciousness appearing as object and object of knowledge. There is a consciousness, but it is just like light. Light, in the presence of the light, I have a knowledge of mouse, knowledge of keyboard, knowledge of computer, knowledge of you. In the presence of the consciousness, you are appearing as an object, and there is a knowledge of an object. But I take it mistakenly that I have a knowledge of the David, I have knowledge of Dennis, I have knowledge of the object. So I feel as if there are different, the knowledge, as if knowledge is changing. Knowledge is not changing, it remains the same. Light remains the same, it does not change at all. In the presence of the light, I have a knowledge of all the objects. The light is pervading in the room. Consciousness is all pervading. There is one hand. There is one hand that I see along with many other things in the room. I see my hand, I see the mouse, I see you all also. So that consciousness is independent. I see you. But I also see that light is not the product of hand. If the light is the product of hand, then I will say the knowledge of the hand. If the light is the product of mirage water, then I will say I have a knowledge of mirage water. It is just the opposite. It's the mirage water of knowledge. Light. Light is already present. Light, this light does not change. The consciousness does not change. Light is not the product of your body, your body, your body, your body. Means light of your body is different from the light of your body. It is not possible. Not possible. Light is the same. Consciousness is the same, all pervading. Knowledge and the consciousness are one, in which all bodies are appearing. Now I will make it more simple. I know you, what it means. It's simply I experience you. I'm conscious of you. So I'm conscious of you. It means I know you. So knowledge of David is equal to consciousness plus David is an object plus the knowledge of an object which is David. Knowledge of Jerry is equal to consciousness plus Jerry is an object plus object of knowledge. Knowledge of an object. Knowledge of an object which is Jerry. Three things are there. Knowledge of the computer is equal to consciousness plus computer as an object plus knowledge of an object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge? Is a computer. So I have a knowledge of the computer plus consciousness, which is the common factor. It is the consciousness is the common factor. Knowledge does not change. That knowledge is pure consciousness. So I have a clarity now. The way I told you in the beginning, mirage water. I approach, I analyze, I logically put. So I use the logic for clarity and conviction, and then what is left? Mirage water appears. Knowledge of an object appears, but as fact is, it is not. So what? What? Knowledge of this beard guy appears, but is not only consciousness. Only consciousness. Tell me if it is consciousness plus knowledge of an object plus knowledge. So if what I have done, I have gone very deeper into my everyday experience. I want to see what does it mean by experience. Why? I'm doing a self-inquiry. Who am I? That's why I have to inquire. If I don't inquire, then I cannot find who am I. So consciousness plus knowledge of an object, body-mind complex, knowledge of this object plus an object. Without an object, now there is no object. What is left? Knowledge or consciousness. That is why we say mindfulness is objectless state of the mind. What is objectless state of the mind? There is no object in the mind. Moonlight. Look at the moonlight. Actually, it is sunlight along with the moon. Sunlight is called the moonlight. I'm giving you another example. Moonlight. Oh, cool moonlight. Actually, it is sunlight. Are you David? No, actually, you are consciousness. Actually, you are conscious. Actually, it is sunlight. Along with the moon, sunlight is called the moonlight. It is called the light of the moon. It is called the knowledge of the David, knowledge of the computer, knowledge of this. No! It's wrong. It's a false assumption. We live in ignorance. We have never inquired, who am I? So we have attention on many objects. Our attention is always on many objects. That is why we have a knowledge of an object. We have an object of variety. That's why we have variety of experiences. We think experience of an object, but we have mixed up consciousness with an object. Our attention is always focused on the object. Last week, we have an experience where I gave a group session with a dentist. I cannot make him understand. One has to become a seeker. We have attention on many objects, so we have many experiences. We have variety of experiences. But who experiences it? Always I. I experience Janice, I experience computer, Well, what is that I? I don't have variety of experiences. That I is consciousness. My focus and attention is on the object, and that's why I have variety of experiences. Experience of an object gives me a false notion that I have variety of experiences. Fact is that it is only one consciousness. We have many experiences? No, we have only one experience. You shift your attention to the consciousness. There is only one experience. You shift your attention to the word. You say that I have, you are different. Once I have variety of experiences, then we all are different. Don't shift our attention to the experience of an object. Shift your attention on the consciousness on which object and the experience and object are taking place. Here and now, pay attention to the light. Do not shift your attention to this beard guy you are listening to. Keep your attention on the light. In the presence of the light, we see different objects and we have a variety of experiences of an object, but the light remains the same. Nothing happens to the light. Same way, the consciousness, nothing happens to that consciousness. Nothing happens to the consciousness. One thing only. Now what happens? In that, in that, in that, in that, you know what happens? In the light, in the presence of the light, I see you as an object of experience. My mind says, David is very good, Brandy is not good. So I create the likes and dislikes, attachment. I mixed up all these impressions from the mind. So the impurity of the mind blocks my journey of the self discovery. And that is where I fall back into the suffering. I continue to suffer. Mouse of knowledge. Knowledge of an object. I know this. It means even in the waking state, my mind brings lot of impressions that I lived with all the time. It superimposes on the consciousness. So there is no mirage water, but I see it appears as if the mirage water is true. And that is how I analyze mirage water is not true. It is only a reflection of the sand and the sunlight. So I shift my attention on the consciousness. I told you, knowledge of an object is equal to consciousness plus object plus knowledge of an object. So mind, don't just shift your attention. You are aware of the object, very good. You are aware of the object of knowledge, very good. But shift your attention on the consciousness, on the light in which all the objects are experienced. That is consciousness. It can only happen, I told you, consistent, regular study, listening and learning, first part. Second is the contemplation and reflection. Third is the practice. So it's a real life experience. Awakening is a real life experience. It's not philosophical. It has nothing to do with the mirage water. We experience that oneness because consciousness is one. Consciousness is knowledge. Knowledge cannot change. So I keep focusing my attention on others. Why? Because of likes and dislikes, because of the impurity, because of the ignorance. So what happens? Mindfulness and meditation is here and now without doing any practice. This is what this master discusses with a metaphor. Now you have to contemplate and reflect on the basis what we have discussed. The metaphor has four aspects. Or before that, I discussed that a spider metaphor explains a spider creates the network of web from itself. And I have not seen, but by metaphor it says that the same web is dissolves into the same spider. So that is the factor. The mind resolves the incomplete knowledge, the ignorance, and then what is left is the pure consciousness. Now come to what we have discussed about this metaphor. Infinite space. Infinite space In the second one, we said enclosed space or a pot space, body-mind complex. Working is a enclosed space. Both the space are one. I pay attention to the body-mind complex every time. Means object. I'm not able to shift my attention from the object to the subject. And there I miss it. So I live in ignorance. So I claim that my wrong experiences is right experience. Oh, that guy hates you. Come on. Let him hate. Oh, he's jealous of you. Oh, let him be. Oh, he loves you. That is attachment. So that attachment, that hatred and jealousy always lives as a moonlight. It has nothing to do with sunlight. It is an enclosed space. So four aspects of the metaphor: infinite space, part space. Now that hatred and jealousy is the water space. It has nothing to do with the part space. Part space will remain as it is. It is not going to change. But I feel it is going to change. It makes a difference. Because you hate me, you love me. Water space is hatred. Love, you are good, I'm bad, you are good, and you are millions of objects. That is what, and then what happens? This is at the micro level, part space, you put the water space. So now I see my reflection. I don't see the consciousness, I see the moonlight, and I claim that I'm a moonlight, and then I suffer. And then what happens? The same thing happens at a macro level in the world. Macro level, that is what is known as the cloud space. Just think. On the light, everything is playing. This object is playing, my smartphone is here, another monitor is here, one monitor, you all are here. On the light, everything is playing. That light is not the property of any object. Light is not the property of my monitor or a mouse or any home. Not at all. It is inert. Knowledge of home, it is not there. It is the home of knowledge. Then I can make it clear that the home is inert. I prove it. But if I say I have a knowledge of the home, then it means the home is conscious. And then we have variety of the knowledge. Knowledge keeps on changing. So I have a like and dislike. I have a hatred and the jealousy. My ego keeps on changing. I keep my attention on the world outside. I live in ignorance and I live with a false notion. And that causes the suffering to me in my life. Think, think, contemplate, contemplate. Sam is already awakened, so he joined in the middle. So he is already. He will definitely get. So see that, understand that very clearly. That this is what the verse is. So what the verse, now come to the verse. The verse, he bridges that verse. I told you, every verse written by these great masters are a GIF file. You have to open up. GIF folder. You have to, once you open up, you should know how to open it by contemplation and reflection, by knowing the basic principles of Eastern wisdom. When you open it and you find, wow, what a verse, and how he has written this verse. So this master is saying in this verse, if reason is employed, then there should be a clarity in the intellect, is expected. If I employ the reason or logic, so clarity and conviction in the intellect should result. Second part of the verse is that one should scrutinize one's experience of ignorance. So here when we put the logic, our goal is to scrutinize and analyze my experience of ignorance, my experience of mirage water, my experience that I have an experience of mouse, I have an experience of monitor, I have an experience of you all as a different, I have an experience of the light. No, I'm paying attention outside. Mind is paying attention to the moonlight. I have to shift my attention to the light. In the presence of the light, all the experiences are taking place. Experience. Who is experiencing? I. Who is this I? Is the consciousness. Nothing less, nothing more. Okay. The master is saying, I should analyze and scrutinize my experience of ignorance, because we have already discussed what is ignorance. Two aspects, if you remember. Veiling power and the projection power. So when I experience what is the veiling power and where is the projection power? Projection power, veiling power. So now I scrutinize my experience of ignorance by using the power of logic, not misusing it. If you misuse it, you will continue to live in experience, in ignorance. You are responsible for my stress. I'm misusing it. I will prove it. But even if you prove it, it does not make any sense. Because experience is taking place inside you. It is not taking place outside. You cannot be responsible for my sorrow. You cannot be responsible for my happiness. Finished. Do I have that conviction in my life? When? 24/7. Why we do not have that experience 24/7? The mind has an attachment with someone, aversion with someone, have a like with someone, with dislike with someone. Do you see that what is happening in our life day by day? And that causes the problem. Clarity in thinking, logic helps structure my thought and unpack the reasoning behind belief, argument, position. It becomes clear. I have to unpack this ignorance. What is this ignorance? Why I see that you are different from me? It is because of the body-mind complex. It is the same carbohydrate protein. Outside, due to the proportion of the ratio of the pigmentation, the skin color is different. Because of the physical age, lots of things are different, but I'm not the body-mind complex. So I'm still paying attention on the object. I'm not paying attention who is the knower of this body-mind complex. Knower is the consciousness. Knower has the knowledge. Mouse does not have the knowledge. Computer does not have the knowledge. Home does not have the knowledge. Why? They are inert. So I put a wrong, false assumption all the day long, and the entire day I accumulate a lot of these impressions. The next day I work with these impressions, and then I say, oh, I have a lot of challenges and the problems in my life. So what the master is saying, that I should have a consistency in logic. If I don't have a consistency in the logic and the reasoning, I cannot find. Every scientific equipment, every scientific discovery should have a consistency. We already know it. Should have a consistency. If we don't have a consistency in understanding who am I, why we don't have a consistency? Because of the attachment, I slip down into unconsciousness, into ignorance with those two factors. What is that? The willing power and the projection power. I bore you too much. Close your eyes. The eyes are closed. Eyes are closed. Eyes an object of knowledge. Eyes object plus object of knowledge plus the knower is the consciousness. Now being comfortable in a totally different way, my friends. Let us go a little deeper with that understanding. Whatever I say, scrutinize, analyze, and then with a clarity and conviction, you accept it, you land up to the consciousness. There is no other possibility. What I said, close your eyes. The eyes, object. So you already have a knowledge of that object, which is eyes. That is why you have closed your eyes. But there is a consciousness. Oh, yes or no. Check it. And then what I say? I said, you see, the journey of a seeker, as you grow into a seeker, you see, you do the same practice. But your level of awareness and perception has changed completely. It is not, we pay more attention to, oh, this is a beginner's practice, this is an advanced practice, nothing of that sort. But yes, in the beginning I give and I tell them, so now look at it. Look at the neck joint, again object, knowledge of an object. And who is the knower? Consciousness. Why? The neck joint is inert, it is matter. It is not knowledge of the neck joint, it is the neck joint of knowledge. Neck joint of knowledge, mouth of light. In the presence of the light, I am aware of this object, which is known as the neck joint, and that makes me comfortable. Then the mind goes further. What do you feel? Sensation, comfort, and steadiness. That too is an object. As long as comfort, steadiness, peace, happiness is an object, I have not found the real self. Are you getting it? Yes, I'm getting it. Why you are repeating again and again? The entire body. Instantly you are aware. Now you are aware. What I said? Aware of the entire body. Feel the entire body. See the entire body. Look into the entire body. So you are aware. When I say see my hand, so you are aware of the light plus the hand. Now you are aware of the consciousness plus the entire body. That is required. But why it doesn't happen 24/7? Because of the impurity of the mind, because of the mind pushes you into ignorance. It is happening now. Yes, I can see that. That's not a big deal. That is why we say consistent, regular study is required under a teacher. Now you see, is a seeker. Your perception has undergone a tremendous change. No, knower plus body. Okay, go ahead. I say experience, sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So, what is the light here? Consciousness plus sensation, comfort, and steadiness in the body. Finished. So, this state of being comfortable is so deep, so rewarding. Why? You see the mirage water, but you smile. I experience it, yes, but every time we live, think, and speak and act in the world, can we act, think, and speak and act in the world with reference to the consciousness instead of shifting our attention to the objects and the world outside? What is that world outside which appears, which will appear as a mirage water? After scrutiny and examination, we have to have a clarity. But why the mind returns with its attachment and distractions? We have two powers of ignorance, my friends, willing power and projection. We discussed that. If you have been contemplating and reflecting on that, you know what it means. And now being carefree, again being carefree. So every thought that explains being carefree is an object. Now we are going deeper. Little deeper, but not very deep. You can easily understand what I said. Being carefree, the mind supplies the understanding of being carefree. I've repeated many a times that being carefree is another expression, free from all the cares of the mind. Oh, so mind is an object, and someone in the mind cares, that is also an object, and that is happening in the presence of the light. That light is the knower in the consciousness. Finished. So from there the metaphor evolved. What is that metaphor evolved? That you are looking at the highway traffic standing across a road. So that standing across a road is the pure consciousness. That is your experience, that is your knowledge. But if you pay attention to the different cars they are moving, then you have variety of experiences. Means variety of knowledge, means the worldly, means the ignorance, means the willing power, means the projection power, means the suffering, means we are living in ignorance. You can explain, you can reflect on in a different way, but in the field of knowledge, in the field of the consciousness, likewise, in the field of the light, in the presence of the light, I move my head and I see my bookshelf. I move my head on the left side, I see the light and the CPU and the windows. Oh, it is one consciousness. Same way. I see the one thought is coming, one thought is leaving, thought is staying, thought is not staying. Oh, I'm consciousness. I'm the light. on which mouse appears, window appears, self appears. I am the consciousness on which Terry appears, Sam appears, Jerry appears, Dennis appears. Oh, I'm that consciousness. But I mistakenly take it knowledge of a Dennis, knowledge of the Jerry, knowledge of the Terry. Will it make a difference in my thinking, speaking, and acting in my life? Internally, 100%. Externally, 0. You still say, I know you, but your meaning, your perception is different. Why? You find one unitary consciousness pervading everywhere. And just in 2 steps, the meditation is complete. You are already in the state of mindfulness. To live into that state of mindfulness means what? Means so simple. I know you, so you are an object. I have a knowledge of an object plus consciousness. Okay, now I know who am I. So now who am I? Just take it as an object. Sometime in geometrical theorem, we start with the wrong assumption and we finalize it. We land up with the right. So who am I is equal to consciousness plus any object cannot be me. So there is no plus. Oh, yes. And knowledge of any object cannot be me. Object cannot be me, and knowledge of an object cannot be me. So what is left? Who am I is equal to consciousness. But mind says I feel the sensation in the body. So sensation of knowledge. Yes, no issue. Pain of knowledge, not knowledge of pain. Knowledge of pain means that pain is not inert. Pain has consciousness. And if the pain has a consciousness, then we will never be able to bring an end to the suffering and the pain in our life. Forget about it. Then learning Eastern wisdom is just a waste. No doubt we had a glimpse of it today, but that glimpse should be converted into a permanent experience. Now you see knowledge and experience, how they both work together. I have been saying that any practice should be done with an understanding, with a clarity of knowledge. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both of arms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences, bring the hands down, we'll share our experiences. And if you have any question, you can ask. How are you, Sam? Let me start with the Sam.
Good. Felt a lot of energy flowing through my body throughout the meditation, especially from the base of the spine to my hands, my legs. Figured out pretty quickly where the tension was on my left side of my body, and it released. I felt it release within 5 minutes, and
good.
The rest was easy.
Very good. Good. How are you, David?
Thank you. That was an amazing talk at the beginning, and it is definitely going to be a bookmark one for me in the future over and over again. But just the experience needs knowledge. Knowledge needs contemplation and reflection to refine the knowledge so that you know the experience you're getting is the right experience or not. And it's just this whole, I mean, it's kind of like a infinity loop, and it's it was very good. By the end of the meditation, by the way, all I saw is light everywhere.
Light everywhere. Yeah, all consciousness everywhere. Thank you, David. You summarized that knowledge is required. We have been saying it. So when the knowledge is required, there is no card, there is no dogma, there is no belief, there is nothing to do with the religion. We just want to know, who am I?
And I would interject, I think we've got to get to the right knowledge, because there's knowledge and then there's right and wrong. So
beautiful. We have to get to the right knowledge. We got the right knowledge about the mirage water. We got the right knowledge about the space, and we had a space satellites. We had a right knowledge about the friction, physics, chemistry, biology. But that is objective. Only difference, it is object. It is subject. How are you, Stephen?
Thank you. That was an extremely deep lesson, and will require repeating it over and over again, because I know that I've just touched the surface of what you were really saying in that. What stuck with me from there was the focus on the mathematical equation of object knowledge, and consciousness.
Yeah.
And it goes back to past lessons of negation, and being able to look at it and go, okay, understanding this, let's start this from a different direction and understand the object, negate it, understand the object knowledge, negate it, and you're left with consciousness. And that just resonated with me, that the moment I closed my eyes during the non-practice, there was nothing there. So all I kept saying to me is, so this is consciousness.
Yeah.
Because I left, there was just no attention to anything else that was going on but the blankness. So thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, you opened up that topic of negation. So that negation is very important in the beginning, and also during the journey when we are discussing the today's topic. So at least why we negate, who am I is equal to consciousness. The moment mind says plus body-mind complex, no. Plus, no. Light is light, just light. Light. Finished. So yes, that is also required in a way. How are you, Jerry?
Thank you, sir. I'm good. Very, very peaceful meditation. My takeaway, it's kind of like when the ignorance veils the consciousness, it's like a mousetrap.
Yeah.
And so whenever there's ignorance, whenever we're focused on anything outside without consciousness first, then it's a mousetrap.
Yes, definitely. We have to go back to the subjective awareness. There is no consciousness in the objective world at all. That is the summary. But I have to repeat it constantly, contemplate and reflect, and once I am settled into that, that is what is known as the nirvana or awakening. Nothing less, nothing more. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. Very, very deep lecture and lesson today. And let me just summarize what I have learned today. And if I'm wrong somewhere, please correct me. So the knowledge of many objects takes place in the mind only because our mind overlays the consciousness and distorts it. And this very distortion of consciousness appears as multiplicity of objects. Without this distortion, all objects are known and experienced as one.
You're right.
And all this happens because of one single consciousness that is an object and a subject at the same time.
Yes, it's a beautiful summary. Because it's a beautiful summary. The same light, the summary of moonlight. We take it for granted it is the moonlight. But it's not a moonlight, it's basically a sunlight. You see, what do you see? I immediately say, I see your hand. Now I see the hand of light. The light is not there. Forget about the hand. So in the presence of the light, everything is happening, but the distortion takes place. The mind says there are many objects, so there are many types of the knowledge, and then we fall into ignorance. That distortion is, we say it is ignorance, and ignorance has two factors that we covered last time. Beautiful way. That's a beautiful way done is, how are you, Brandy? Brandy's gone? Yeah, here.
I'm here.
Yeah, here.
I'm good, thank you. I'm going to need to go back and listen to this several times too, but my big takeaway today was about the importance of experience with right perception. And I think that's a little bit of what everybody said so far, but I really thought you were going to say logic for whatever reason. And when you said experience but with the right perception, that caught me. And so it's something I need to think about.
Yes. So experience must be analyzed in the light of the right logic to check if that experience is real or fake. Mirage water experience is fake. Driving your car on the highway and your experience, the highway is running behind me, is fake. So who brings the clarity, reasoning? That is what it is all about. So we have, now we have Vaibhav. How are you?
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm good. Practice was calm. The understanding was to know something. First, I have to be unbiased towards it. So all my experiences, what I'm having, it is actually biased because of my liking and disliking. And so the learning is, what I'm learning is also not clear and the knowledge is not clear. Once I am unbiased about these things, then it will be clear and I'll see the correct knowledge.
Beautiful. That is another way to put it. Because why I am biased? Because I am judgmental. But why I am judgmental? Because the mind has millions of experiences accumulated already. I have all those accumulated experiences. Those experiences prevents me to see the reality. It prevents me, it blocks me. So that's why I have a biases. So that is why the master says, no, you have to have a discernment. In the presence of the light, I have an experience of mouse and I have an experience of the entire wall, and then the mind says, you look at the wall is so big and mouse is so, why I have to do it? I do it. Why I do it? Because of my past experiences. Oh, just for example, I do it. Yes, that's another way to put it. That's why, you share the experiences in a different way. How can I leave Terry? Yes, Terry.
That's okay because I need to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to it again and again. There is nothing in it, but there is everything in it. There is everything in it.
Yeah.
So we are one consciousness. Just you think, if you look back, especially I would say 7 or 8 sessions on Saturdays, it is a summary of those last 8 or 9 sessions. Today what we did, because I have to come to that point, and I have taken 8 or 9 sessions to bring to this verse. Yeah, we will continue our journey. Thank you very much. That is all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.